Well, hello everyone. It's so nice to be talking to you again because it's been a busy summer. It's been a while since my last live stream. So welcome back to Oh Yum with Anna Olson. Of course, before I get going and even talk about what I'm going to be baking, and it's a savory bake today, I want to say hello to everyone who is joining us that I've seen regularly on my live streams right from the beginning. So hello, Kathy, Suzanne, I know you're watching because your daughter's in France right now, enjoying something related to what I'm about to bake. I'd like to say a special happy birthday to Sophia, who is Uriel's sister, and I know you're fans, so thank you very much. And a happy belated birthday to Cherry. Hello to Hermione in Greece, because we've already been chatting and you've asked some wonderful questions. And I'll remind everyone, this is live. You've got me for the next little while. And so please feel free to ask your baking questions about this recipe, about other things, and I'll keep you updated. And now you've probably noticed that the kitchen looks a little different. I'm breaking in a brand new kitchen. This is our new studio kitchen. That way, Michael can keep all his camera equipment on hand and ready to go, and we can still sort of function in our normal kitchen as we normally do. So I hope you like it. Please tell me what you think about the kitchen. We've got the stove back here. I've got lots of counter space. And this is actually an antique table with a stone top, so I won't wreck the table by rolling pastry and cutting doughs and mixing batters on here. So please let me know how you feel about this new kitchen and the lighting and everything. We also have a new internet connection. So let me get right into what we're going to make today. So it's a savory bake, as I mentioned. It also happens to be vegan. It also happens to be gluten-free. This gives me a great opportunity to talk about baking in that style and produce something delicious. Hummus crackers with a roasted carrot dip. Now, for a lot of people, we're thinking about back to school, and you might want to be thinking about some healthy snacks that you know you can pack in lunches, or perhaps if you're heading back to the office, you need to think that way. Quite frankly, I love crackers. I like chips and I like popcorn, but if I've got crackers, I am happy. And these are crispy, flavorful crackers, and they're really easy to mix up. So let me get started by first soaking my flaxseed. As I mentioned, this is a vegan recipe, and so instead of using egg to bind the cracker together, I'm using ground flaxseed. I've got 3 tablespoons of ground flaxseed and a 1/4 cup of lukewarm water. And I'm just going to give that a little stir to let it soak for a bit. Now, this is not my standard flax egg substitute recipe. Typically, if you want to replace an egg in a conventional baking recipe with a flax egg, you stir in 3 tablespoons of water to 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed, and that replaces 1 whole egg. But in this case, I need less water because I'm adding other liquids to this recipe. And so to get the texture right so that the crackers roll out well, they aren't too sticky and they crisp up well, that's why I have this different ratio. And this really does help add to the crispness. Crackers can be tough to get crispy if you're using a whole egg. The fat from the yolk can really make it sort of a softer, richer style cracker, but this helps us ensure you're going to get a crispy, crispy cracker. Now, while I'm letting that soak for just a second, we'll get the other ingredients ready. So this is a recipe that you can prepare in a food processor. I like using the food processor just so I can grind everything very finely. You could use a mixer or electric beaters. You can mix it by hand too, but you'll find it'll take longer to bring the dough together. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're baking along. Oh, I forgot to say hello to Kaylee, who lives in the neighborhood, and it's been lovely to get to know her lately, so I just wanted to say a special hello to Kaylee. Okay, back to the recipe. I've got my 1.5 cups of ground chickpea flour. This is finely ground chickpea flour. It's very, very powdery, and it's got this great capacity to absorb moisture, which is why it makes such a fantastic base for a cracker. And of course, because it's 100% chickpea, it is gluten-free. So that goes into the food processor. And to play on that hummus flavor, I'm adding a few ingredients. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of sesame seeds. Now these are untoasted sesame seeds. Because the crackers will be rolled thin and then baked in the oven, the sesame seeds toast within the cracker itself, so you don't have to pre-toast them. And where would hummus be without a little garlic? And where did I put my microplane zester? There it is. So to finally mince the garlic, I'm just going to grate it right into the food processor. And I'm just taking a peek while I'm looking at that of what you're writing. Liu is asking where I'm from. I live in central Niagara, so about 90 minutes outside of Toronto, close to the US border actually. While I've got the grater in my hand, I'm going to add lemon zest. I really want to build the lemon flavor into these crackers. These crackers are delicious on their own. They're packed with flavor. So this is where adding a little lemon zest comes in. Hello from the Philippines, from India, from Veracruz, Mexico. Look at this. This is wonderful. Watching from the Philippines, it's great to see where everyone's from. So some of you are having summer. You're towards the end of your summer. Some of you are towards the end of your winter. And some, well, it's the same. If you're in the Philippines, I know it's hot and muggy all the time. And I will talk about how to make your crackers really crisp if you're baking in the Philippines, or Hermione, you were asking about crisp crackers in Greece, of course. All right, I've got a nice amount of lemon zest there. I'll need that a little bit later. I can already smell, it reminds me of hummus with that garlic and the lemon together. I am adding 3/4 teaspoon of ground cumin, just to give some depth of flavor to the crackers. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And now for the tahini paste, so 2 tablespoons of tahini paste. So this is a Middle Eastern, Mediterranean ground sesame paste. It's got a beautiful, rich oil content. It helps bind the cracker dough together. It adds great flavor. And I was fascinated to learn from Hermione earlier about all the flavors of tahini that are available in Greece. And so, Hermione, you have my full permission to use whatever flavor you have. I have only ever seen the sesame, but I had to write it down. There are so many types. You can get chocolate tahini, honey, cashew, pomegranate, cranberry, orange, lemon, pumpkin seed. That's crazy. I love the idea. So go for it. Build in whatever flavor you want to be the dominant one. But it lends that oily character. And we're going to use tahini again when we make the carrot dip as well. Now, for the remaining liquids, I've got 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. So truly, the only fat in this recipe is coming from the tahini paste and the olive oil itself. And now, I can't forget to add the ground flaxseed. And if I can show you, do we call this the flax egg cam? The chocolate cam is far more glamorous sounding. But you can really see in just that couple minutes how the ground flax has absorbed the liquid. And so that's going to continue as it's mixed into this dough. Bring the dough together and bind it. So now we'll give this a whir in the food processor, and you may find if you're using a food processor, the dough won't come together. So we're going to blend it well, but it's only when you reach in and squeeze it will you know if the dough is fully mixed. So give that a second. Scrape it down if I have to. Deb's asking, this is a great question. Deb is asking, where am I cooking today? So if you've just joined on, this is our new studio kitchen. So it's still part of our house, but it's got a separate entrance, and so that way we can keep our studio life and the home kitchen. Don't worry, I'll still do things from the home kitchen too. But this provides a great option, and I do have a culinary team that help me test my recipes. We work together, we collaborate. So now we have our own safe spaces to work to, and I think that's very important. So I hope you enjoy this kitchen. I'm enjoying it right now, but this is my first time actually working in here. Oh, hello to Sri Lanka. How long does this handle? I'm reading Cherry's notes. Fridge or freezer, shelf life. Oh, yes. If you open your tahini, you want to keep it refrigerated because of the oils. You may find it spoils faster, so keep it refrigerated once you've opened it, and then it will keep for months. Now, I'm just going to reach in, being careful of the blade. And so you can see the dough doesn't look like it's come together, but when I squeeze it, you can see it has. So now we'll tip this out onto my work surface. So I'm rolling on stone for the first time because if you remember, my home kitchen has wood countertops. So we'll see how this goes. I have some chickpea flour off to the side. So to keep it gluten-free, you don't want to roll this in this dough in wheat flour. You'll want to continue to use chickpea flour in your rolling. Now, in a humid climate, you might find that this dough, when you first mix it, is a little sticky, a little bit tacky. You can set it aside and you can chill it even for a few minutes. You can make the dough ahead of time and chill it or freeze it until you have time to handle it. This is feeling okay. And let's compare. I did make one earlier, just in case I did need it. So that means I'll have 10 dozen crackers because this recipe makes 5 dozen crackers. So you can see the difference. This is pliable where it continues to absorb, the flax continues to absorb liquid, so it's got a different texture. Both will handle very well. I think I'm going to use the one I freshly made. And I'm going to put my blade back. I'm actually going to use that same food processor bowl for my carrot dip. And because there are no raw or uncooked ingredients that are at risk, because this is a vegan recipe, I don't have to wash it in order to make my carrot dip. I'm going to put a little sprinkle of chickpea flour. And then there's my rolling pin. And then roll out the dough. I think I'm going to break it into 2 pieces. Making so many crackers, I won't fit everything onto one tray. I love that silky feel of the chickpea flour, and it absorbs moisture just like the flax egg does. And so you can see that the dough it doesn't crack. It's not like working with a delicate butter-based dough that you have to keep cold and then handle gently. Because there are no proteins in the flour, you can't toughen up the dough. But what I do want you to do is try and get it rolled as thin as possible. And I think I can roll and read questions at the same time. Ida, thank you for your comment on the kitchen. I'm glad people are enjoying the new kitchen space. I think I'm enjoying it too. Sue is asking, can you freeze the crackers? Sue, great question. I would freeze the dough, but I wouldn't freeze the baked crackers because they will soften up. You may find if you do, you have to toast them up to dry them out again because they may get soft after freezing and then thawing. Hello from Ireland. Oh, Rebecca. I think you're the first person who has actually vocalized that they're joining me from Ireland. So a pleasure to meet you. Kaylee's here. Hello, Kaylee. Kaylee's dad is writing. That's great. So glad you're joining. Now, are you baking along, Kaylee? You can always go back, and that goes for everybody. You can go back because as soon as we're done here, we will replay this video so you can go back and reference it and watch it again. And we've got 181 likes. You know I always like to throw out the challenge. Let's go for over 200 likes. I know you can do it. Oh, hello from Barbados. Oh, I love Barbados. What a beautiful, beautiful country. When I used to travel, I've been a few times. And hello from Kenya. This is so nice. And TNT, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, everybody, you're joining me from so many locations. This is amazing. And here I am just in my own home, but still in a brand new kitchen, and I'm making hummus crackers. And once these go in the oven, I'll also follow up with a roasted carrot dip. So I figure the major hummus flavor is going into the cracker, so the dip should be something a little bit different. Now, I really have rolled this as thin as I can. Any more, and I think I'll start getting cracks, but this is at least 1/8 of an inch, which would be what, 2 millimeters thin? So, you know, a good cracker should be as thin as it can be. I've got my baking tray lined with parchment paper. Is that a good place to place it, Michael? Yep. We're learning all these we've got the cameras in new positions, and this is a new workspace for me. It's great. I have so much space here. Hello to Leslie in South Africa, 222, and Bonnie, of course, just down the street. I've got a 2-inch cookie cutter, and you can, of course, do whatever shape you wish, but know for this size that the bake time is about 8 minutes in a 375 or 190 Celsius oven. You don't have to leave a lot of space between the crackers. This isn't like a cookie that's going to grow or expand. You'll notice I didn't put baking powder or baking soda in the dough. But because of the nature of the chickpea flour, they will crisp up beautifully. You don't obviously want these touching each other. And because there is no gluten in this recipe, re-rolling the scraps is super easy. You saw that I barely put any extra chickpea flour, so the dough won't dry out. And then on top of that, you know, if you're rolling a gingerbread cookie or a cutout cookie, after the first or second re-roll, you'll find the dough gets very springy on you, and that's the proteins, the glutens in the flour getting developed with each roll. So the fix for that, of course, is to set aside the dough and let it rest for about 15 minutes if you can. But with this recipe, you won't have that issue. So you can just keep rolling and get all 5 dozen of your crackers out and ready to go and rolled. It smells really good. I can really pick up the lemon, the garlic, and the cumin together. And the tahini comes through too. It already has that toasty aroma even before the crackers are baked. Oh, so imagine with Hermione's revelation that there are all these flavors of tahini out there. I'm going to have to look and see what I can pick up. I love the idea of a cashew one or a pumpkin seed one. Ooh, that sounds amazing. Hello to other people in Canada. In case you're new to the channel, I am Canadian. And I see hello to Malaysia. And Dorcas in the Subs is asking how many crackers we get from this. You get 5 dozen. And that's if you roll every last bit. You don't have to waste a bit of dough. You want to store your crackers, just like you store any store-bought crackers, in an airtight container. And now Hermione asked a great question earlier. She had asked, well, what can I do to make sure my crackers are as crisp as they can be? And my answer to that, and I think it's a very good question, because living in Greece, next to the Mediterranean, the weather's a little more humid. Or if you're living in a tropical climate, or if you're living in Canada on a humid day, like it is, it's 38, 40 degrees today, and it's really sticky out. You want to treat your crackers like biscotti. So what you can do is follow this recipe. So it's 8 minutes at 375 or 190 Celsius, but then take them out, let them cool, lower your oven temperature to 160 or 150, put them back in for another 5 to 7 minutes, and that will dry them out without over baking or over browning them. So then you're going to ensure you get a really crisp cracker. So I wanted to re-roll this piece just to show you how easily it handles, just like it did the first time, in terms of ease of rolling. And I'll cut out these crackers and get them on the tray. And how's everyone doing? I'm liking this placement, the fact that I can put the laptop and see all your notes coming in. Oh, people are joining from all over. Hello from Thailand and Zambia, and hello to Russia and Bangladesh. My goodness. And Ricardo from Venezuela. You know what? I've missed doing these live streams too, so I'm so happy to be back. We did want to wait until this little project was completed, and I've been working on some other projects too. So you'll be seeing new things coming your way. Some right here on the channel, some in print form, some in broadcast television form. There are so many things coming your way. As they're ready to come out, I'll make sure I keep you in the loop, and so you know what's happening. Oh, hello, look at this. Oh, yeah, I know, it's midnight. Thank you in Malaysia for staying up so late. Hello to Hungary and Mississauga and Sri Lanka. And someone else from Ireland. Hey, 2 in 1 live stream. This is amazing. And I see we've cracked well over 200 likes. We're up to 250. You know I'm going to want to see 300 likes before I go. And hello from Saudi Arabia. Oh, good question, Hermione. If you want to make the crackers bigger, do you bake them longer? The answer is yes. But if you go any larger than, say, 4 centimeters or 5 centimeters, I would say that you want to turn your oven temperature down so that way you don't overbrown the outside before the center of the crackers are done. And still do that 2-step trick. Okay, so now I'm going to pop these in the oven. I'll set the timer for 8 minutes. Actually, maybe I'll set them for 7, just to be certain. There we go, the countdown is on. So that gives me a nice amount of time to make my roasted carrot dip. Because if you're going to make crackers, well, you want something to serve with it. And this is a twist on a traditional hummus. And what I have, get my ingredients ready, is I've got a pound, so 450 or 500 grams of, these happen to be local fresh carrots because they're in season right now here. I've diced them up just so they're an even dice. And if you're into cooking and knowing your cuts, you've got your julienne and your brunoise. This cut is called a Paisan cut or a country cut. And it's a bit rough and rustic, but it allows you, it's perfect for carrots because you can cut a large carrot and a skinny carrot and make them all about the same size just by angling your knife. And each one kind of has this triangle look to it. And it's great for roasting because you can get some caramelization on the surface of the carrots. I've also tossed in 2 garlic cloves, and they're going in whole because I want to roast the garlic as the carrots roast. And that really just takes, if I were to mince the garlic and put it into the carrots, then the garlic would burn before the carrots were done. So now I'm going to coat this with a generous amount of olive oil, more than I might use if I were just roasting the carrots to serve with dinner, but I want to flavor that oil with the roasted garlic and the carrots, so when I puree it, it's got that extra boost of flavor. And then I've got a sprinkling of chopped fresh thyme, which is actually for both of us, one of our favorite fresh herbs. It's not glamorous. It doesn't get all the attention like basil or coriander or dill, but thyme is one of those background herbs that pushes other flavors forward. It grows easily. It keeps in your fridge for weeks, unlike mint and basil, which wilt so quickly. And it makes things taste better. It's kind of like the vanilla of the herb world. You sometimes eat desserts and you need the vanilla there, not to taste the vanilla, but to taste everything else better. And that's the function of thyme. I'll add a sprinkling of salt and a little bit of pepper. Hello to Syria and Venezuela. And oh, BJ, I'm glad you like this new kitchen. Just a reminder, I'm making hummus crackers and a roasted carrot dip. It's nice to do a savory bake. And I do have to say, making something vegan was a special request of TJ's. So I wanted to make sure that we met his wishes in today. So this was a TJ request for this recipe. So TJ, I hope you're going to make it too. Of course, if you're new to the channel, TJ is our channel manager, and he does such a great job. He pops in on the chat now and again, as you'll see. So I'm sure he'll say hello to you. And he makes sure if he can handle a question, if I happen to miss it, he'll throw it in there. Oh, this is great. We're just having a nice moment together, aren't we? This is great. I'm glad you're liking the new kitchen, so I hope to be back sooner. I won't let so much time pass with a live stream that we'll do right here. Now that I've stirred this together, the carrots take 45 minutes. I like to roast them uncovered so they take on a little color and caramelization, and you want to make sure they're cooled down completely before you finish making the dip. So I'll pop this in the oven. Oh, I can smell those crackers already. Oh, amazing, amazing. And let me get my other ingredients. That's my garnish. Of course, a little more tahini. We want to unify the flavors together. Little cumin and coriander. And here is the placement good if I have it here, Michael, to show the carrots?
Closer to the processor.
Like that?
And the other ingredients too.
And the other ingredients too. There we go. Thank you for your patience, everyone, as I'm learning where to line things up in this new kitchen. Oh, I like that shot. Okay, now I can see what's happening here on the screen. Cherry's asking, can we do a carrot and squash mix? Great idea. Anything that you can roast and puree that has that density. I don't know if anyone here likes parsnips. I love parsnips. That would be fabulous. Okay. Pumpkin would be a fantastic addition. Sweet potato, anything with some density. Because otherwise, if you do something like eggplant or zucchini, it'll just be too watery of a dip and won't have that full flavor. And there's also, of course, the sweetness factor. So sweet potato, pumpkin, squash, butternut squash, parsnips, if you're daring. Okay, and Mirza is asking, can we use other herbs? Yes, you certainly can, but go for those background flavors and flavors that benefit from cooking. So you could put in a little sage, fresh sage or fresh rosemary if you wanted in place of the thyme. Just don't put too much or it'll overwhelm. But something like basil or coriander, you would want to add that at the end when you're pureeing everything, but don't, it might get lost with the heavy flavors of the sweet carrots, the chickpeas, and the tahini. So play with it. If anything, maybe coriander, fresh coriander, because we're adding dried, ground. That might be a great suggestion. Very, very good question. Sue's asking, if you were to use pumpkin tahini, what flavor would I pair with it? Oh. Well, I think then pumpkin and pumpkin. To do roasted fresh pumpkin with a pumpkin tahini, then you'd have a double pumpkin roasted dip, and then you could still work with any of those herbs as a background note, because pumpkin seeds, as we know, that would be ground into paste, have their own character and sweetness and beautiful intensity, and the color would be that green, added just a hint of green to it. Oh, it'd be gorgeous. Everything I have here goes into my food processor. And just as a note, yes, I mixed the dough in here, but there were no unsafe or raw ingredients that I have to be concerned about. And I want to make sure I get all that oil and the thyme leaves in there. And now I'm going to add 1 cup of cooked drained chickpeas. These can come from a tin or you can cook your own. I'll leave that up to you. That helps give the dip a little more body. That's the timer. Let's check on these crackers. So that was 7 minutes, and sure enough, I'm almost there. I'm getting, oh, yep. New oven, not used to it yet. We've got just a hint of browning. And I think I'm gonna leave them out right now. Leave the carrots in there to cool a little bit. I don't want to brown them further. And because it is humid here, I might do the same trick that I recommended to everyone living in a humid climate, that I might rebake these at a lower temperature after they've cooled, just to make sure they're crisp, but I don't want to over brown them. Oh, but the aroma between the garlic and the lemon zest is key, and the sesame in there, it's just absolutely fabulous. So let's continue on with the roasted carrot dip, working in some flavor. So we've got the roasted garlic and the thyme in here. I am going to add some lemon zest. The zest of a full lemon. Yeah, it's true, TJ. The oven's trying to steal the show. Oh ho. All right. Any chickpea substitutes? Oh, that's a great question. Now, if you want to stay in the bean family, then you could do white bean. If you did a black bean, that would mess with the color a little bit, but a white bean, like a cannellini bean, a white kidney bean, or a navy bean, which is actually not blue, it's white as well, I think would help preserve the color and the character and the thickness. I think you could make a full carrot dip using 100% carrots. It just wouldn't have, I was trying to work in some protein to make this a healthy snack as well as a tasty snack. So that's why I really added the chickpeas in there. I wouldn't use potato, simply because potato has so much starch that a cooked potato pulsed in the food processor might get gluey and dense, and I don't think you'd favor the texture of it. I'm going to juice my lemons. Now, where I had a measured amount of lemon juice in the crackers, that's because I needed that to make sure my cracker texture was spot on. This is a little more free and loose in terms of measuring, so the lemon juice can be for taste, but also for consistency. So you can add a little, you can add a lot. And speaking of lot, I double up on the tahini for the dip. So where I use 2 tablespoons in the crackers, I use a 1/4 cup here. And that's where using those flavored tahinis really makes a lot of sense. And then I have a combination of ground cumin and coriander, as well as, of course, some salt and pepper. Ahmad, you're asking a good question. Can I use curry leaves? I would put the curry leaves in with the carrots to roast them. That way you can pull them out because you don't want to blitz them into the mixture. But I think that would be absolutely delicious and it would smell incredible. That is a great idea. And Ahmad, you had also asked a question earlier about including a tahini recipe. I don't actually have a tahini recipe. I've only ever bought it. And I think that's more for consistency. I don't know that I could make a homemade tahini as well or as consistent as a prepared product. I think it's its own preparation. Perhaps you might disagree and maybe you make your own, but I've just decided to pick the store-bought. And there are, you know, the brands. If you find one that you're happy with, that's the one you should go for. So now I'm going to blitz everything to blend it, let it pick up that orange color. I might have to stop and scrape the bowl a few times as I go along. Hi, Benny. I'm glad you like the new kitchen. We've got our crackers cooling here. We've cracked over 300 likes, so thank you very much for that. And so we're picking up a nice color there. I just want to smooth it out. I think I'm going to put in just a little more lemon juice just to make sure I get that smoothness I'm after. These are good juicy lemons, which around here is not common this time of year. We rely on citrus being at its best more in wintertime. Of course, it comes from warmer climates then. Oh yeah, I like the way that softened up the look, smoothing out the dip so much more now. Hello to Bangladesh. Okay. Oh, and Alan is asking from Taiwan, I'd love to get back to Taipei. I really enjoyed visiting Taiwan. But asked if you could use sour cream in the dip. Of course you could. Or you could also use yogurt. But we're staying 100% vegan here. And let me get where's my serving plate? I just want to taste this to make sure I've got my seasoning right, because guess what? This is going to be our lunch. I may bake cakes and cookies on a regular basis, but you need to eat healthy in order to keep going. It does need just a little bit more salt. If you wanted to add a little kick of hot sauce, that would be great too. Give this one quick little whir around. There we go. Now I'll spoon up a portion. Is that Gail? Am I pronouncing your name right? If so, hello, hello to you. Oh, Deb is asking, could you use roasted beetroot? Great idea. The color would be brilliant. Talk about super healthy. That combination of the beet with the chickpeas. Just give this a little twist around to make it look nice. And I just did set aside a couple of chickpeas just to sprinkle on top, along with some sesame and new kitchen. I don't know where I put my olive oil, so I'll skip the olive oil drizzle. And so now the crackers have a nice crispness to them. They still have to cool a little bit, but now you get the idea. Now that was only half of the dough that I rolled. Keep that in mind. Not even half, actually, it was a third. So I have the remaining here that I will roll and then bake. And there you have it, a beautiful dip. Your roasted carrot dip with tahini and lemon, cumin and coriander. And we've got our hummus crackers to dip and spread it in. Can we crack 350 on the likes? I wonder. That is my challenge. I'm not going to disappear quite yet. Oh, hello to Romania. Nice and crisp. But what I like about these crackers too, pardon me for a second, is that they're earthy and meaty. I know I am such a cracker fan that if you give me too many, I will eat as many as there are in front of me. And so these are a little more filling, so I won't eat quite as many, so I don't need as big of a bowl. But even some flakiness to it. You'll notice I didn't dock the crackers with a fork. So any crackers that have baking soda or baking powder, you typically have to dock with a fork so they don't get air pockets or air bubbles in them. But because these have, number one, they don't have any gluten, they're fully vegan, and they don't have any baking powder and baking soda, you can treat them as these beautiful rounds or get creative with the shapes as you cut them out. And Ira's asking, what other things can you dip on the roasted carrot dip? Well, just about anything, from pretzel chips to spreading it onto toast, a toasted bagel or a toasted English muffin. Pita, of course, is a natural. Whatever you like to serve with your regular hummus, this is just a nice little homemade twist.
Celery or cucumbers.
Yeah, let's stick with the vegetables too. Celery, cukes, roasted pepper pieces. There's so much. Ooh, Ahmad, green chili would be a great addition to this dip. I love green chilies. Brilliant idea. And Hermione, how long can you store these? You can push it, and I would say 10 days. You want to definitely keep them in an airtight container. Don't refrigerate them. But you can also pop them, because there is no egg and no dairy, there's nothing in here to spoil. If you find they've gone soft, you can just put them on a tray and pop them back in the oven to crisp them up for a few minutes. So great questions there. And before I get back to, TJ, I agree with you. I think we can get to 400 likes. I may have to refresh my screen just to see how close we are. Give me a moment here. Oh, we're getting close. We're at 379 now, and I'm probably a little bit behind. Let's go for 400, everybody. I agree with you, Ahmad. We can do this. I love seeing where you're... Asian, I'm going to pause for a minute. Getting away from oil in cake batter. Well, you have to look for specific recipes that are designed to be baked with less oil or butter. Unfortunately, what seems to be the compromise is increasing the sugar. Because if you take away the fat, you take away the moisture from a cake, and then what you're left with is you need to replace that moisture in order for it not to be crumbly, and sugar adds moisture. So you kind of have to pick and choose which you think will work best. We've hit 400. Thank you, everyone. This is fantastic. And I think that is a great point to mention to people. In addition to my doing a savory bake and something vegan, in addition to showcasing the brand new studio kitchen where you'll see me again do live streams, the other big announcement is the reason I wanted to do a recipe that TJ picked. This is TJ's last live stream. It's so sad, but it's only temporarily sad because TJ's going on to new and exciting things. And did you know TJ has his own YouTube channel? It's called Cinema Tech, ends with a Q. And TJ's a huge movie buff. And so you can still stay in touch with him. You want to go over and follow and subscribe. And definitely we subscribe from the Oh Yum channel here. So TJ, it has been such a pleasure to work with you. We have a great rapport. I know everybody loves TJ on the chats because I see you connecting with him. And so TJ, I wish you all the best. You will definitely be missed. But please, next time there's a live stream, come on back and join on the thread. We'll look forward to seeing you. We'll have to figure out what your handle is. I was suggesting Vegan Wonder 100 if that's not already taken. So we'll watch for you. And so we know you're not done with the live streams forever. So hopefully I'll be back with a new live stream sometime soon. I'll keep you posted. But in the meantime, keep your eye on this channel. Make sure you're subscribing because that's how you're going to know when new feature videos are coming your way, because we've got loads of new content coming down the pipeline, and it has been a real pleasure. Kaylee, if you baked along, I hope the crackers are coming along well. Kathy, Suzanne, Bonnie, everyone who has joined me today, it has been a real pleasure. And enjoy the rest of your summer or winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. And I will be in touch soon. But now it's time for a nice little healthy lunch before I get into the chocolate cake. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye. That'll be the first time doing the dishes in this kitchen. Part of the job.